Welcome to the Emerging History channel. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out more videos like this one. Chaos erupts in the Mediterranean as the troop ship Oceania slips beneath the waves. In September 1941, desperate Italian and German soldiers scramble from the sinking vessel mere moments after a British submarine delivered the fatal torpedo blow. Tension grips the streets of Rome in 1944, where German occupiers round up Italian civilians in a ruthless dragnet following a partisan attack. These ordinary citizens face immediate arrest, their futures suddenly uncertain in the war-torn capital. Under the bright sun of Liguria, Italian soldiers raise their daggers in a synchronized salute to the fascist regime behind them. A looming portrait of Mussolini presides over the scene, demanding absolute loyalty as the world leans toward war. Deep in the Colombian mountains, FARC founder Jacobo Arenas. He shares a drink with Tirafijo to celebrate a birthday. In 1988, this candid moment captures the relaxed camaraderie between the guerrilla leaders who would shape decades of conflict. Japanese Marine paratroopers pose with an air of victory in the Dutch East Indies, early 1942, having just secured the airfield at Manado. These men of the Special Naval Landing Force stand ready to expand the empire's reach. Here we see the beginning of a long conflict as Japanese soldiers march across the plains of Manchuria. In September 1931, this invasion marked a turning point, setting the stage for the wider Pacific War that would follow. A catastrophic explosion tears through the sky in 1943 as a Japanese torpedo bomber meets its end. The camera captures the precise millisecond of destruction, turning a machine of war into a violent cloud of fire and debris. Leisure and modesty define this scene from the Jersey Shore. Around 1905, beachgoers in heavy wool bathing suits crowd the sand, offering a nostalgic glimpse into how earlier generations sought relief from the summer heat. Amidst the trenches of World War I, Jewish soldiers within the German army gathered to celebrate Hanukkah in 1916 by the flickering light of the menorah. They find a brief spiritual sanctuary away from the horrors of the front. In Hamadan, Iran, Jewish women in traditional attire pose for a rare portrait. In 1921, their gaze offers a window into the diverse cultural tapestry of the region, preserving a community history that has often been overlooked. A young John F. Kennedy Jr. is captured in a moment of childhood innocence in 1963. Unaware of the political weight his name carries, he plays within the halls of power, contrasting the gravity of the presidency with youth. Mob justice takes a grim form in Minnesota 1918, where German-American farmer John Meintz stands tarred and feathered. It is a brutal testament to the anti-German hysteria that swept the American home front during the Great War. Street commerce comes to life in mid-19th century India as knife grinders ply their trade. This rare photograph from the colonial era documents the working class, preserving the intricate details of daily labor and craftsmanship long ago. Kaiser Wilhelm I stands resolute in full military regalia during the 1880s as the first German emperor. His imposing figure symbolizes the unification of Germany and the rise of a new European power that would reshape the continent. On the deck of the USS Midway in 1951, the futuristic Vought Cutlass prepares for its first carrier launch. This moment highlights the rapid evolution of naval aviation, pushing the boundaries of jet technology in the early Cold War. Smoke rises from the tower in Amsterdam 1928, marking the first lighting of the Olympic flame in modern history. This revival of an ancient Greek tradition introduced a powerful symbol of continuity that remains central to the Games today. Anticipation spills onto the sidewalk in 1983 as fans wait in endless lines for the premiere of Return of the Jedi. The excitement is palpable, capturing the peak of Star Wars mania that defined a generation of moviegoers. A horrific scene unfolds in a Kovno garage in 1941 where Lithuanian nationalists brutally attack Jewish neighbors. This photographic evidence bears witness to the terrifying speed at which civil society can collapse into barbarism under occupation. On the battlefields of Gallipoli, local children pose with a grim harvest of bones collected from their family farm. It is a haunting reminder that long after the armies departed, the land remained scarred by the remnants of death. The Soviet Sea Monster. The Lund-class Ekranoplan sits dormant in 1987. This massive ground effect vehicle was designed to skim the ocean surface, a strange and terrifying relic of Cold War engineering that looks more like science fiction. Giant helium balloons float through the canyons of New York City during the 1934 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This early spectacle brought a sense of wonder and escapism to a public still grappling with the Great Depression. The cavernous interior of Madison Square Garden stands ready in 1967, whether awaiting a heavyweight bout or a rock concert. The arena's vast emptiness hums with the potential energy of the millions of memories yet to be made there. Marines on Peleliu crowd around for the most important event of the day, mail call in the midst of a brutal 1944 campaign. These letters from home serve as a fragile lifeline to the world they left behind. The skyline of Manhattan rises defiantly in 1943, a fortress of commerce untouched by the bombs falling on Europe. The architecture reflects the strength of a nation fully mobilized for war, yet geographically removed from the destruction. Disaster strikes Budapest in November 1944 as the Margaret Bridge accidentally detonates during rush hour. The premature explosion by German engineers claimed hundreds of civilian lives, adding a tragic, senseless chapter to the city's wartime suffering. Hollywood glamour meets the harsh reality of the Korean front as Marilyn Monroe poses with soldiers. Though the prompt dates this to 1957, her famous morale-boosting tour in 1954 brought a touch of warmth to weary troops. Marine PFC Douglas Lightheart cradles his machine gun while taking a smoke break on Peleliu, September 1944. The exhaustion in his posture tells the story of the relentless mopping up operations that continued long after the main battle. In a Paris studio 1918, plaster masks reveal the delicate work of Anna Coleman Ladd. She sculpts new faces for soldiers mutilated by trench warfare, offering them a chance to hide their physical scars and regain some dignity. A massive swastika hangs behind the stage at Madison Square Garden in 1939. This chilling rally by the German-American Bund shows just how boldly pro-Nazi sentiment was displayed in the heart of New York before the war. Frozen in time by volcanic ash, a man in Pompeii lies in his final position from 79 CE. While often captioned with humor, the pose likely resulted from the extreme heat contracting his muscles in the moment of death. British soldiers of the East Yorkshire Regiment march toward the Somme. In June 1916, their faces show a mix of resolve and anxiety, unaware they are walking toward one of the bloodiest battles in human history. Monks gaze through a fence at the Dutch-Belgian border in 1915, watching the wire of death. This electrified barrier separated occupied Belgium from neutral Netherlands, a lethal divide that claimed many lives attempting to cross. A mountain of bison skulls towers over men in 1892, illustrating the industrial-scale slaughter of the American West. This gruesome monument represents the near extinction of a species and the devastation of the ecosystem that supported indigenous nations. Defeated but dignified RIF leader Abd el-Krim boards a train to exile in 1926. His guerrilla tactics in Morocco inspired revolutionaries worldwide. But here we see the quiet end of his rebellion against French and Spanish colonial rule. Amidst the rugged terrain of Afghanistan, Mujahideen fighters pause to pray. In 1987, this image captures the spiritual conviction that fueled their decade-long resistance against the Soviet invasion, a conflict that would reshape global geopolitics. wounded Mujahideen fighters are guided off a U.S. transport plane in 1989, evacuated for medical treatment. These men represent the deep, often covert involvement of Western powers in the proxy war against the Soviet Union. In the desert near Tobruk, 1941, a British mechanic gets a trim in the sand. This simple act of grooming highlights the desert rat's ability to maintain routine and morale despite the harsh conditions of North Africa. A German soldier poses in the trenches of the Western Front, 1917. This personal snapshot humanizes the enemy, showing a man enduring the same mud fear and exhaustion as his counterparts on the other side of no man's land. A highly decorated Wehrmacht paratrooper enjoys a rare moment off duty in the Netherlands, 1944. Away from the combat jump, his relaxed demeanor belies the intense fighting that characterized the chaotic retreat of German forces late in the war. Crowds swarm New York's Penn Station in 1915, awaiting the arrival of evangelist Billy Sunday. The sheer size of the gathering underscores the massive cultural influence of religious revivalism in America during the early 21st century. A brutal execution takes place in Guangzhou, 1927, as a nationalist soldier kills a member of the anarchist commune. This violent snapshot captures the ruthless suppression of political dissent during China's turbulent revolutionary period. A Navy gunner screams through the tension as 40mm guns pound the sky aboard the USS Hornet, in 1945, defending the carrier during raids on Tokyo. The crew fights desperately to repel Japanese aircraft in the Pacific's final year. Looking down the Hudson River toward the end of World War II, the water is busy with naval traffic. The hazy skyline of New York stands as a beacon of safety and victory for the ships returning home. Hidden for over a century, a newspaper from 1865 details the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, found preserved in plastic. This fragile document connects a modern attic discovery directly to the shock and grief of a nation mourning its president. The last Tsar Nicholas II stands with his family and European royals in 1899. Their opulent clothing and relaxed poses betray no knowledge of the revolution that would eventually sweep away their dynasties and claim their lives. In another frame from 1899, the interconnected nobility of Europe poses together in Hesse. These cousins currently at peace would find their nations tearing each other apart in the devastating World War just 15 years later. Norman Bell Geddes gazes over his Futurama model at the 1939 World's Fair. His sprawling vision of a highway-connected America predicted the future of urban planning, selling a dream of speed and efficiency that would soon become reality. Norwegian suffragist Marie Hoeg challenges gender norms in a playful photo from the turn of the century, posing with a cigarette and confident stance. She used photography to subvert the rigid expectations placed on women in the late 1800s. The curtain falls on the very first production of The Nutcracker in St. Petersburg, 1890. This grainy image captures the original cast of a ballet that was initially a failure, yet would grow to become a global holiday tradition. Walter Bott's the model for the iconic Uncle Sam poster poses in 1900. Seeing the flesh and blood man behind the symbol grounds the national myth revealing the human face that inspired the most famous recruitment image in history. Pablo Escobar and his cousin play act. As Old West gangsters in a Las Vegas studio during the 1980s, the irony is stark. A real-life violent kingpin enjoying a harmless fantasy of outlaw life while visiting the United States. Molotov man Pablo Arauz prepares to throw a bomb during the Nicaraguan Revolution in 1979. This image became a symbol of the Sandinista struggle, capturing the raw energy and defiance of a people rising against the Somoza dictatorship. A Palestinian passport from 1947 sits as a relic of the British Mandate era. It documents a specific political moment just before the partition plan, and war would fundamentally alter the map and the lives of the region's inhabitants. A young Nicolas Sarkozy listens intently to Paris Mayor Jacques Chirac in 1981. This image of mentorship captures two future French presidents at the start of a political relationship that would shape the country's leadership for decades. Deep in the forests of occupied Poland, a partisan stands armed with a Browning automatic rifle around 1940. His solitary figure represents the hidden, desperate war fought by resistance movements against the overwhelming might of the Nazi war machine. In a dual act of vandalism on the island of Jersey 1944, resistance fighters tarred a collaborator's house only for Germans to retaliate by painting swastikas on it. The defaced home stands as a battleground of symbols in an occupied community. Ideally opposed ideologies face off at the 1937 Paris Expo, where the Nazi and Soviet pavilions stand directly opposite one another. The architectural confrontation physically manifests the geopolitical tensions that would soon erupt into global conflict. Spectators craned their necks skyward in 1969, their faces illuminated by the launch of Apollo 11. This collective gaze captures the universal awe and hope felt around the world as humanity took its first journey to the moon. Through the crosshairs of a periscope, we see the final moments of a Japanese ship, in 1942, taken from a U.S. submarine. This gritty image records the silent, deadly efficiency of the underwater war in the Pacific. Freedom rider James Zwerg stands bloodied and bruised in 1961 after a mob attack in Alabama. His injuries testify to the brutal violence meted out to those who dared to challenge segregation, yet his resolve helped galvanize the civil rights movement. An Algerian woman is forced to unveil. For an ID photo during the War for Independence in 1960, her piercing gaze conveys a powerful mix of defiance and resentment toward the colonial authorities demanding her submission and documentation. A view from a train window in 1958 captures the rural landscape of post-war Poland. The quiet countryside belies the turbulent history the land has witnessed, offering a fleeting, peaceful moment in a nation rebuilding from ruin. Inside a Sears department store, shoppers stare transfixed at television screens on November 22, 1963. The gravity in the room is palpable as ordinary errands are interrupted by the breaking news of President Kennedy's assassination. The Plaza Hotel radiates luxury in early 20th century New York. Horse-drawn carriages and grand architecture define this era of elegance, establishing the hotel as a cornerstone of high society long before the modern skyline emerged. Polish poet Józef Bohdan Zaleski sits for a portrait in France circa 1878, living in exile. His weary expression reflects the sorrow of the Great Emigration, where culture and art became the preservation tools for a nation erased from the map. Jean Villebrun Guillaume Sam, the president of Haiti, appears in a rare portrait before his violent death in 1915. His assassination triggered a chaotic chain of events that led directly to the 19-year American occupation of the island nation. German refugees cram onto a train leaving Berlin in the immediate aftermath of World War II. Every inch of space is occupied, illustrating the massive displacement and desperation of a population fleeing the ruins of AAE, defeated Reich. President Bill Clinton poses for a casual photo with intern Monica Lewinsky in the Oval Office, 1997. At the time, it was a routine snapshot. In hindsight, it documents the prelude to a scandal that would consume the presidency. President Kennedy and Vice President Johnson enjoy a moment of music in Houston, November 21, 1963. The smiles and celebration capture the final carefree evening before the tragedy in Dallas would change the course of American history the very next day. Lyndon B. Johnson signs the Medicare bill in 1965 with former President Harry Truman at his side. By holding the ceremony at Truman's Library, LBJ honors the man who first proposed national health insurance, closing a decades-long political circle. Two presidents confer aboard Air Force. The one in 1965 as LBJ meets with Dwight Eisenhower. The image captures the continuity of executive power, showing a sitting president seeking counsel from his predecessor, during a turbulent era of the Cold War. A young Prince Charles watches with boredom and curiosity as his mother Elizabeth II is crowned in 1953. Standing beside his grandmother and aunt, the boy witnesses the start of a reign that would span the rest of the century. Princess Victoria Louise of Prussia poses confidently in a hussar uniform around 1909. The Kaiser's daughter embodies the militaristic culture of the German Empire, blurring the lines between royal pageantry and the martial atmosphere of the time. A pyramid of captured German helmets rises from the pavement in New York, 1919. This towering display on Victory Way serves as a stark metallic visualization of the sheer number of enemy soldiers defeated during the Great War. Queen Elizabeth II cuts a massive cake in Ottawa to celebrate Canada's centennial in 1967. The festive moment marks 100 years of Confederation, highlighting the enduring bond between the monarchy and the Commonwealth. RAF pilot Francis Mellersh enjoys a haircut and a book between missions in 1942. This quiet interlude in Essex displays the British stiff upper lip, maintaining civilization and composure, even while the Battle of Britain rages in the skies. A Red Army soldier gently cradles a kitten during World War II amidst the scorched earth and brutality of the Eastern Front. This tender interaction reveals the enduring human need for softness and connection. A Republican militiaman collapses at the moment of death during the Spanish Civil War. 1936, Robert Cape's falling soldier remains one of the most debated and powerful images of war, crystallizing the sudden tragic end of a life in combat. Rip, a mixed-breed dog, stands atop rubble in London, 1941, as a search and rescue animal. He saved over 100 lives during the Blitz, earning a medal for bravery and proving that heroism wasn't limited to humans.